make it there and can make it back.
Salutations and shit, folks. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite travel podcast, Travel and Shit, where I, your host, D. Carey, have an experiential conversation about nuanced ways that travel intersects with regular life. So, good people, welcome. Welcome. Whether this be your first episode or you've been rocking with the kid for all of the 5 years that we've been here. I am so proud of 5 years. I hope that I have mentioned how proud I am of 5 years at the top of every of these episodes. And here we are, just, so very grateful to be this far, because quiet as it's kept, I struggle with consistency. But this is one thing that I've always been consistent about, because it is a labor of love. And I just want to express my sincerest gratitude for me. Thank you to me, because I don't even think I've said thank you to myself in a while. So thank you, D, for keeping up with the good fight, for pushing through after disappointments, after confusion, after not being sure, all of that jazz. I'm just so very proud to be consistent with something that means so very much to me. So I am grateful and thankful for that, because this fall energy is also a season of gratitude. For me, at least. And so I am grateful. And another thing I am grateful for is having such incredible people to join me along the ride. And if you watch on the YouTubes, like I suggest whenever I have a guest, you can see our beautiful faces. And so to the beautiful face that is joining me, who I'm so grateful to have with me here today, please introduce yourself, my guest.
Peace and blessings. I feel like I put my incense to use right now with all of the
Amen.
vibes. Yes. I'm Rachel Fortune. I am hailing from Chicago, Illinois. But I am very much I'm a world traveling Mama Jamma since 1995, 96. And I am very happy to be here. I'm here to talk about all of the blessings travel can offer you. I am on my way to a great trip that I'm going to love to tell you about. And I'm also interested in talking about more than just traveling physically, but maybe a little more metaphysically as well.
Come on with the woo woo. I love a good woo woo conversation.
Yes.
All right, so let's start with the first thing you mentioned. You are going on a trip soon. So I know that you had mentioned to me that you were going for homecoming. So
I am.
Regrettably so, baby me, this is going to sound wild. Baby me wasn't as black as I am today. So for those of you that get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Everyone comes into themselves different seasons, different ways, with different
Absolutely.
assistance. So I have learned to not be as judgmental to people along the journey, because we all journey in different places, different ways, with different luggage, if you will.
Yeah.
But that is one of the things that I don't know if I can say I regret it, but that's one thing that I have a little bit of reservations surrounding, is my college decision. I wish that I had gone to an HBCU. Now, I also can say that I am certain my life would have been so different had I gone to an HBCU. And I've got to say that I'd be pissed about a lot of shit, but low-key, no, not even low-key, high-key. I high-key love my life. So it's like, on the one hand, it's like, damn, what the fuck of an experience that would have been, right? But then on the other hand, I'm good with how I'm good with being where I am right now. So I can't rewind, and I can't say that I would rewind the hands of time and time travel to change my decision. But what was your decision process for you? Did you go to an HBCU, or do you just go to homecomings? Like, what was your college experience like? How did you make your college decision? What was that journey like, from college you to Rachel that sits before me today, getting ready to go to this homecoming?
Oh, the natural tears just swell.
Oh,
Oof.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's okay. I felt your energy and I was like, I had a lot of choices because I was such a nerd in high school. Um not and that's a good thing, not even just high school, my whole life. So when I got to the year that I was supposed to make the decision, which was senior year, even though I chose the school's junior year,
Hmm.
I would say I applied to like 10 schools, including some Ivies, and I got into like 6 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10, 6 out of 9, something like that. One of the schools I got into was the number one HBCU in the country for 11 years straight, Spelman College. And when I visited Spelman my senior year, actually I was visiting my homegirl who went to Clark Atlanta University, which is
Okay.
also in the Atlanta University Center. I went and visited her in her dorm and I stayed over. They had like this, I was 17, okay, and they had just a regular party. And I was like in there dancing for 4 hours straight, and I was like,
Having a good
oh,
black
this
ass
is what,
time.
right,
College is
right. It
fun.
started,
Sign me
I think
up.
it, I think it started at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon, ended at 10, something like early,
Oof.
and I was in there dancing the whole time, like whole time. So then before I left, I said I have to go check out Spelman. I'm just thinking I had been on all these college tours and
Hmm.
visited these campuses, spent the night. I had decided I wanted to go to an all women's college, I believe, unless I got into,
Okay.
and unless I got into ended up not panning out Harvard and Princeton. But Harvard, I got an interview. I just didn't follow through with my supplementary stuff they asked for, and they denied me.
Hmm.
Um, but when I went to Spelman's campus, when I stepped foot on the campus, and mind you, I had a desire to go to Spelman since I was about 8 or 9 years old,
Oh wow.
and because I knew somebody who went there, and I like looked up to her, and then
I was gonna
like
ask that
got into,
next.
yeah,
Okay.
and then she got into Harvard Medical, and I was looking up to her then, and I was like, oh, she's like a big sister. I want to be just like
Hmm.
her. But then also those are the years of like a different world and
Yep.
Cosby Show, and so Hillman was a thing. I got on that campus and it was just the energy, the women I saw walking around, going to campus. I felt like I found my place.
Mm.
I was like, this is where I belong. I am a Spelman woman. Let me move forward with this and see what happens next. And I did that. And there were times when I will say I didn't have a traditional college experience because I actually only spent 2.5 years on the actual campus of Spelman
Okay.
College while I was in undergrad. So the way I finessed that was, first of all, them first 2 years were hard. They were super hard. I was ready to quit. I was going to join the military.
Really?
Something had to give. I was like 13 hours from home. I'm from the DC area,
Okay. That's what I
and
was gonna
nobody was
ask because
coming
it
to
seems
visit
like
me. I was over it, and I was
okay.
like, something's got to give. But then at the same time, I had become a member of a music fraternity for women called Sigma Alpha Iota, and I
Okay.
started getting like more oriented into that part of college life because people don't talk about a lot of the bands and
Mm.
musical fraternities and sororities that are very, very deeply represented in HBCU culture, especially.
Okay.
So FAI is one of those where the Black Roses basically, and now like from that time there were like maybe 2 or 3 HBCU chapters. Now they're like 15. So
Wow.
ours is no
I've
longer
never
at
heard of that.
Spelman. Yeah, so it's historically they started our chapter in '79,
Wow.
and it's been disbanded for about 15 years, but we're still out here. And so
Hmm.
like now they're 100. They're
Did
like
you play
almost
an
a
instrument?
thousand. I sing, so I'm
Oh
still a
wow.
singer. Yeah, when I first got to Spelman, I was a vocal performance major, and then that's the
Mm.
way I ended up spending time in abroad because my vocal cords just basically shut down on me, like second semester of freshman year, and I had these nodules in my vocal cords, and I couldn't pursue it anymore. So I switched to English because
Oh
I
my
found
God.
out yeah, I found out that they did the most study abroad opportunities for people.
Mm.
And I was like, I got to get out of here. It's been stressful. I don't know, like about all of
Mm-hmm.
this Atlanta stuff. And I ended up going to London. And at first I was going to go for a semester. And then I was going to go to South Africa for a semester. But once I got there, I knew I was like, I need more time here. And we're
Okay.
going to talk about that in a minute. And so I ended up staying a year in London. When I got back,
Wow.
I had already set up internships in New York City. So I didn't really go back to DC at all for the
Mm-hmm.
summers. I ended up going to live in Newark, New Jersey with my aunt and
Mm-hmm.
work in New York and just commute from there. So I worked in television and in magazines and stuff. When I got back, I got an internship with VH1. And so I spent a semester actually doing co-curricular credit
Mm-hmm.
for Spelman through working at VH1. And so
That
I
is
didn't
like the
come back.
dream hustle.
Yeah, I didn't
What?
come back to Spelman until it was almost time to graduate. And I spent my senior year spring semester on campus. And I graduated on time. And by the skin of my teeth, I graduated on time. I didn't even care about GPA at that point.
Baby,
Because there was a
round of
point.
applause for college you because that's a lot. Okay?
It was a lot, but it started the trajectory. Like just being able to do that in college with no
Yes.
money, that's
And
like,
also, like, think about the life experience that you have from like 17 to 22. You figuring it out. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
granted, there are some people, unfortunately, who have to mature a lot sooner, so have the experience of doing a lot of things. But just in terms of just like paperwork, how much paperwork you filling out in high school other than your name, the date, and the class that you in and whatever test you're taking or whatever. You know what I mean? I just feel like there are so many things that go into picking up programs like that, just doing the research, having
yeah,
the wherewithal as a young adult to follow up with things
yeah.
like that. And not everything was digital like it is now. A
Nothing
lot
was
of
digital.
like, you know what I mean? Like you got to open up a pamphlet. You have to go to whatever student center and whatever location has this information and then put yourself in these
this
spaces.
this was the beginnings of the internet.
Mm,
This was the first trip I took. I'm trying to think, did I even have a laptop? And I don't think I did. I think I was in, I was in computer lab.
mm.
I don't know if I had my first. In fact, I think my first cell phone ever was in London, and it was a prepaid cell phone, and my friends were jealous because they didn't have that technology yet. Like we were still on pager life. Like this was I graduated in 2001, and so that's what I was gonna say. Right after all that preparation, 9/11 happened. So
Wow.
I could not go back to
My
New York.
God.
I could not go back to New York at that time.
Wait, so were you still doing the internships at that point?
I
Like you
I
were supposed
I
to
had
come back?
I was supposed to come back to get hired at VH1, and I could not come back at the time because there was too much going on. They would have hired me, but there was no remote work back then. I would have had to be in New York. Mind you, they were paying peanuts. So I'm entry level, first of all, in New York.
But you had a
There's no
job at
way.
VH1 in the
Yeah, but
90s, in the
yeah,
early 2000s. Like,
yeah, it would
for
have been
those of y'all that don't
2001.
know,
Yeah,
VH1
used
was
to
the
be
shit. It
different.
was VH1, it was MTV.
Yeah,
BET wasn't even like VH1, MTV, and then like the music box. But like the box was a little bit different, but it was
the box.
VH1
Yeah,
and MTV, y'all. Like
yeah,
that was like the music game. Like that was it. Like
yeah.
wow. So what did you do? What was the pivot?
I went to LA, and I told you I sing. And in my 21-year-old mind, I said, well, shoot, if I can't go to New York, I'm gonna go to LA, and figure it out. And so I found a school that had an audio engineering program and a film production program in North Hollywood, and they had housing. But you had to figure it out. Once you got there, they'll give you some time,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to figure that financial aid out. Ended up living with some ministers and going to this school. One of the ministers was an employee there. him and his wife helped young Black women who were coming to LA and didn't have anywhere to go. I ended up being in an apartment in North Hollywood with like two teenage girls, two other adult women, and myself in a room on bunk beds. While I worked at this place, they took care of my tuition if I worked there, and then I didn't have no other money though. And so these ministers were like, "Well, just sing on my praise and worship team."
Check.
Okay.
Can
and
do.
It's so crazy because like low key, like it's so funny. I don't know if I can name drop, but I'll say celebrities were members of this little church. Okay. And so I was rubbing elbows with these people in Hollywood with no money. Okay. And then eventually I realized, no, I got to get out of here. And I have a whole college degree. Let me at least go to start temping or something. And that turned into finding out that this was the beginning of the whole boom of search engines. And so then I found a job with a company that had a search engine that was a startup. And they were looking for people to start looking at their search engine optimization. That was the beginning of search engine optimization. And I got hired to be one of their editors, their listings editors. And so I transitioned into tech and worked at the search engine that was acquired by Yahoo while I was
like
there.
Ask Jeeves?
It was called, no, that was a competitor. This one was called Overture. And so this was when all of them were starting. So this was the .com boom. And so I got in there and I ended up being there for a couple of years. But they were transitioning into becoming Yahoo. I didn't understand what was going on. Had I known what was going on at the time, I would have stayed my black tail right there. Okay. But they were only paying about $35,000 in LA. So I was like, I don't even have a car yet. Like, I'm still broke, and trying to figure that out with nobody even understanding what I'm doing. Like, my family is on the East Coast, never been to LA. Nobody's around me except other 21-year-olds, 22, 23. All of us trying to figure it out. Some of us have trust funds, some of us don't. I don't.
Right.
So I'm navigating being a young adult for the first time in a whole foreign place, LA. Okay.
Right.
Not the East Coast. And so eventually, I decided, okay, let me just ride this wave and see what happens. Got another job, but it wasn't the same. Kind of segued into, I need to go home for a minute and figure out what I'm doing. So I went back to the East Coast, but I didn't go to DC. I mean, I went to DC really, really quickly, but I didn't want to stay with my family. It was like, no, I don't really want to be here. So ended up, that's what kind of started me hopping from locations to live and work and then say, do I like it here? Yes or no? What do I like? What I don't like? Over the last, I would say 20 years, I have probably lived in maybe 10 cities, maybe 10, all over the country. I've gotten a master's degree. I'm almost finished my data science certification. But a lot of the time, I was actually a dancer.
Wow.
And yeah, so I spent 10 years as a dancer and danced all over the East Coast and just worked and lived somewhere for a couple of years and said, oh, time to go. Let me go. Never had kids. So just did what I did and had fun, made a lot of money, kept it moving. And
who did you dance with?
No, I was an exotic dancer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Girl, I used to bartend at a strip club. Gang, gang.
Yeah, so Black China is who I used to dance with.
Okay.
I've definitely, that's a whole book. I danced from Maine to Miami.
Because I was about to ask, that was the next class. That was the next. Go ahead, finish. I got my question.
No, go ahead and ask me anything because I feel like it'll help me figure out what I need to share and what I don't need to share.
Okay, so I've only bartended in New York, and it was a strip club. I think I was there for like 7 years, 5 years.
Where?
It
Which
was
one?
a while.
Can you say it?
They closed it down. I used to be at Taste of Honey. is in Long
Okay, I
Island.
never heard of that one. Okay, all right, the Long
So,
Island. Okay.
tiny little spot. I want to say it was either the first or the only for black owned strip club in Long Island.
Nice. Okay.
Or was it New York? I don't know. It might have been just Long Island. I don't know, but they was blacks. They history. They had been there for a while. Like they were there years before I was ever there. It was my cousin's club.
Okay.
So,
Oh, okay.
what? Pray tell, what region? Because all strip clubs ain't the same. And I will say, boyfriend and I learned our lesson the hard way. We fucked up and went to the strip club in Montreal, or was it Toronto? I think it was Toronto. And where we messed up was we are expecting American strip club culture. Canada don't have no singles. Canada, the smallest denomination of paper money is a 5. So just the way that the strip club operates is very different. And that's one thing, like, you expect like regionally things to be different, right? New York from the South, Midwest, West Coast. You can anticipate some differences, but I don't know why I just assumed that Canada would be the same as just American strip clubs, but definitely wasn't the case. Learned that lesson. But I will say, I can't say that. I might want to, because I'm trying to think of like where my favorite strip clubs would be. And so I've only been to strip clubs in New Orleans, New York. I feel like Atlanta. Have I been to? Yep, we went to. I think we went to Did we? No, we didn't go to Magic City. Where did Nikki and I go? I don't know, because I've been to a ton of them in New York. So we did New York. We did New Orleans. Damn, has that been it? I'm feeling personally a little disappointed in myself, but I can say that they are different in different states. Even in New York, different areas do things completely different. Where would you say the easiest and then the most difficult regions to work have been in your experience?
All right. So before I answer anything, what level of PG 13-ish are?
Here's your disclaimer. If your kids is in the room, turn it off. Say this for yourself.
Yeah, turn that
Boom,
off.
go.
Because thank you. Okay, because and disclaimer: this may be true. This may not be true. This is all for entertainment purposes only. But
allegedly, a lot of
allegedly. Everything's alleged. So I'm going into character now. Okay, character. Scene. All right.
Action.
And action. Right. Yes. So I loved Providence, Rhode Island, probably the best out of anywhere I worked. Because people don't even. I liked places. Jacksonville, Florida, Providence, Rhode Island, North Carolina in general. My home where I began was Virginia, the Hampton Roads. That's why I don't live out there. Can't do it.
You don't shit where you eat. I get it.
Can't do it. Too much family out there. They all know, but that's ancient history. This is over 10 years ago. So for me, though, first of all, I'll say I didn't start dancing like a lot of girls start dancing when they're in college and all that stuff. I never did any of that. I didn't start dancing until I was about 25, going to 26 years old. And so I danced for 10 years. So I was always older than a lot of the girls I danced with. So it made it easier for me because I wasn't coming in and some boss bitch coming like, oh, this is my club and blah, blah, blah.
All of that energy was out. You was over that.
That energy, it was still there. I still had to respect the gangsters when I first got there, but they were also not as experienced life-wise as I was. Like I said, I've been to college, traveled abroad. You know what I mean? Like, worked for VH1. Like, you know, like, it's was so much you can really tell me because I'm already trumped up. Like, suited and booted to come in here. And the only reason why I'm here is because I'm in the country now. And I'm not in New York. I'm not in LA. I'm not in Atlanta. and
It's
nor
not
will I
really
ever.
industry in those
I'm not in a.
cities,
I'm
smaller
not.
cities. It's not as
Nobody.
much.
Nobody that went to college with me is gonna come into this club.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line, they're not coming. So having said that, when I was in those smaller towns, I was able to really like be in character of exotic dancer. And because I have the performing arts background, I always had the technique. I had the athletic background. I always had the stamina, and I had the intellectual background to be able to hustle verbally a lot more than a lot of the women I worked with. So the only thing that was a real challenge was racism, because a lot of people don't know and understand. But anything that has to do with, I would say, sex positivity is going to also have a lot of racism around it, because that whole industry is completely segregated into racial types and stereotypes and political type of stuff, politics. Then you also have to think about what are the laws in these places. So when I was in Florida, those laws were very, very weird.
Right.
And very much you could be at work, at a club at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, sitting there in a bikini, not even dancing for anybody. And all of the boys come in and raid the place and say they have you on camera doing some illegal activity, because lap dancing was illegal in that city or in that part of town or whatever it is. And you need to go to court and say, plead no contest in order to neither plead guilty or not guilty and pay a fine because it was a tax.
So even if you're just sitting there, you're from another place, you've never been there not one day, if you're in there during that raid, you're guilty. Okay? It's all kinds of things, because the thing that people don't really understand is what is behind the scenes with all of these clubs. My least favorite place to dance, even though it was extremely prosperous for a lot of people, Miami. Because they bait you in, and I don't know about to this day, but I know back in the day, they would bait you in and they would try to get as much money out of you as possible while you're working, to a point where you would need that club. Also known as pimping, but it was a different kind of pimping that people don't know about, because they don't really care, because all they see is you got your body work done, you are top of the line physically, and we're throwing a whole lot of money at you. They don't know that as every hour progresses in a club, first of all, they're starting at, you got to pay $50 to dance there at 5, 6 o'clock. Party's not going to start until 1 o'clock in the morning. The girls that come in after midnight, they're paying $125, but they're more than likely going to make about $1,000 on that stage, because they are known. If you're not known, you're gambling going into the club. So the last year of my career was in Miami, but I was also studying while I was there. So my whole hustle, my whole adult life was, let me get some education while I'm dancing. Let me go somewhere and see what the life is like as a dancer, but also see if I can get some education along the way. And then it just transitioned more into the education piece again as an adult, and figuring out what exactly I'm here to do, which got me into the spirituality piece. Because there was a lot of shadow work I had to do, a lot, because I'm integrating all of these energies. I'm around all these people. I'm butt naked in front of most of them. So I'm exposing myself on a whole nother level than I ever had to in my life. Nobody fucks with me because I became a stripper. You know what I'm saying? But also, I'm not going to fuck with people because I'm a stripper. And we're in this part of this life where you have to be mindful of what kind of energy you bring around people you care about.
Yeah.
And I wasn't about to bring all of that around nobody that I went to school with, that I knew. I wanted Black excellence for all my community, you know. So I had to shut down the Spelman stuff. I had to shut down the hometown, I'm your homegirl stuff, to a point where there was a time in my life after stripping, I had to learn how to relate to people I dated. I had to learn how to relate to men again, women. I had to learn how to relate to children. Like I had to I had to heal and also like reprogram myself, you know? And so that's where I became the coach. I started to have to coach myself. And then I said, you know what? during the pandemic, mainly, that's when my intuitive life coaching really started up, because I couldn't be anywhere working. So I had to figure out what remotely can I do to continue to hustle without starting an OnlyFans, because I refuse at this point. I'm not, that part of my life is done. The most I'm gonna do is some dance classes. So I started teaching twerk classes, and a lot of girls would come. And so then the sex education piece came in, like, okay, all right, people want to ask questions, there's some answers. And so I would say it brought me up to who I am today at 44. I still travel. I travel more now. I'm very, very active in my Spelman community. I actually am one of the moderators for a sex education group with almost 1,000 members of my alumni community that a lot of people don't even know exists. Will not name you. Ain't gonna name you. But also, I studied Chinese medicine for quite some time. Acupuncture and Chinese medicine. So that was a big piece of my healing journey. And so now I integrate Qigong into twerking. And so now we have this whole experience that kind of allows for women and men, to come into a space where they can heal while they're shaking off whatever kind of energy they need to shake off. And then I also had the Mayan Astrology piece that, for me, it just makes the most sense, even more so to me than Western astrology. To me, Western astrology is very complex. This is very simple. It'll just give you an understanding of who you are and what kind of challenges you probably come up against and what it means in relation to other people, and then rinse and repeat. And it's very unique. So that's why I really like it. I like unique stuff. But also it's just, I have seen how using intuition and that system and just listening to somebody tell me about themselves and just picking up their energy, because I'm very susceptible to other people's energy now at this point. All of it comes together to create a dance, help them choreograph their lives. And so it all just kind of comes together, and I'm still working on the branding. I have a coach for that now. I have a day job, 3 jobs. Let me just say that I have like 3 jobs right now. But I'm trying to get back into just working with people and help them to kind of dance through life, kind of how I have, and just integrate it all, just integrate it all. It doesn't really matter what city I'm in, I'm going to be there, and now, I kind of, like I said, because I spent so much time being like the centerpiece of somebody's celebration, you know what I mean? I kind of walk through life like that. I just do. So that's a long answer.
No, that was a perfect answer. Can you just turn your volume down a little for me? Because I can hear me.
Okay. Is that better?
Much better.
Okay.
Oh wait, maybe try one.
Maybe
headphone.
Let me see if my AirPods work now.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna wait. You gotta connect first.
1 2 1 2 testing 1 2.
Okay, and I don't think I can.
Testing,
Yep.
1 2.
Wait, no, I still hear me
Hold
on your end.
on 1 second.
Uh-huh.
All right, testing 1 2.
What if I can hear? Yes, much better. I don't hear me anymore. Okay, so that's 33.
Okay.
34. 26. Okay, so question. Why Rhode Island and why Jacksonville? What about those areas did you like? Was it the people? Was it the club culture? Was it the way the laws work in the area? Or was it just like you like those cities better?
Okay, so with Providence and Jacksonville, that was during the time of an engagement, marriage, and divorce.
Oh, wow.
For both places. Yeah, my ex, his family was from Jacksonville, and we kind of moved in together there, fell in love. And can you hear me? I see like it's not really picking up everything. Okay.
I hear you.
And so it made it easier for me to be a dancer, because that's when I started integrating security, like on a like a high scale. And in Jacksonville, I was able to work at a pole studio for the first time. Okay. Because prior to that, I had agent that would get me private parties in
Mhm.
Virginia, and then through Maryland and DC and all that stuff. And then we moved to, well, no, I think I met him actually in Jacksonville. He lived in Mexico and he was doing all this stuff online. He said he had about 100 websites that people hit up looking for strippers and looking for party like pole instructors. And I was a pole instructor
Mhm.
at the time at a studio in Jacksonville in Atlantic Beach. And so because of that, he hit up the owner of the club, I mean, of the
Mhm.
studio, asking for if they had anybody that would go out and do these things. And then me and him linked up. Next thing I know, wherever I was, he would say, okay, I have this party. Can you do it? This party. And it'll always be great money. And
Okay.
so I always needed somebody on my end, though, to come for security. So my
Right.
ex, he would come with me. And it was fun. It was great, you know, and I felt very empowered because I also worked in clubs. And in Jacksonville,
Mhm.
they had about 20 strip clubs.
Mhm.
So I could be at a different club every day if I wanted
Right.
to, you know. In Providence, it was the same. It was about 20, but the difference was it was mainly Latinas and white girls. And then they didn't have any of that Southern culture. They did not know how to twerk.
Mhm.
They didn't know none of that. And in fact, the club I ended up at for the most amount of time, the Foxy Lady, it had been there almost 35 years when I got there. They had this thing called Legs and Eggs on Friday mornings at 6 a.m. So I'd be in the strip club at 6 o'clock in the morning on Fridays. They have a breakfast buffet. Um,
That's one thing about New York strip clubs that was always so fucking disappointing is we ain't got no damn food.
oh, yeah,
Ain't
no,
it's just not a food culture. There
you're
is no
right.
kitchen culture. New
Yeah,
York does not have a kitchen culture with their strip clubs.
that's so funny.
And it was quite the disappointment, especially as someone that motherfucking worked there. Okay?
Yeah,
Suck up all this alcohol and I gotta order wings from up the block. It was
right.
good,
That's
but I had to get them. But please continue.
funny. No, we had a full kitchen. And then like Providence in general though is dope because a lot of people don't know anything about it. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
say now because this was over 10 years ago, but back then it was like the playground of the northeast of New England. And you know, Tom Brady was popping, like the whole Patriots,
Okay. Yeah.
Pats
I can
Nation
see
was
that.
happening. It was a big deal. I have a lot of family based there, so I was able to be there when my niece was born. And
Oh,
you
that's
know, my
great.
ex, he was from Massachusetts, so we ended up getting divorced in
Hmm.
Boston. And you know, it just was a great place for me to kind of get back into being single, being in that industry, also working on my fitness, figuring out what I wanted to do moving forward. I knew I didn't want to stay there, but I was
Okay.
able to like bond with my sister. You know, it was a good time in my life to be there. It was the last couple of years of my dad being alive, and he lived
Mm.
there. So I was able to spend like not the last year of his life because he was convalescing, but the
Hmm.
two before that I was able to spend in
Right.
Providence. So that was good, you know, and that's what I would say about being able to kind of be flexible with where you live. You
Yeah.
can kind of, you know, bend it around and maneuver
You make it work
age.
for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and you know, and Florida is just beautiful, you know, and so the only issue was the people, they have like real rednecks in Florida.
Hmm.
And I learned that. And I would say even in like Miami, and I thought not being in Jacksonville and being in Miami would be real different. It wasn't. Um,
Hmm.
it was a lot going on in Miami that wasn't necessarily going on in Jacksonville, but
Interesting.
it was very unique to Miami. And like, it's not my favorite place. You know, like, I would say I think Miami's a trap.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say that for everybody, but that's one of my least favorite places to travel to
Okay.
because it just feels like once I get there, if I try to do the South Beach thing or anything that's touristy, it's a tourist trap. And they don't care what happens to you when you get there. They really don't. They just want as much money as possible from you.
So do you mean
Providence,
that in this sense of like customer appreciation, customer service, just like talking and engaging with people and making sure that people that are patronizing your business are taken care of while they're there? Is that what you mean? Or is it
No,
just like lackluster service once you spend your money for something?
it's not even about the service.
Hmm.
It's about they will get you all the way bent, like you're out of your mind drunk. Some hustlers will be in the building waiting for you to get to a certain point of sobriety or lack thereof to sell you some pills.
Okay.
Another person's going to be around to try to get you to go home with them.
It's
Another
a very
person's gonna
predatory
be around.
environment,
It's
you're
very
saying.
it's
Got
highly
you.
predatory.
Got you. And the
Versus-
places and the establishments know this and don't necessarily do anything
They
to
play into it.
protect.
They
Copy.
play into it.
Copy.
And
Okay.
versus up north to me, not necessarily New York. I ain't gonna speak on New York because all of that happens in New York City, baby. But Providence, it's a lot more like, we're happy you're here. We want to impress you. We want you to keep coming back. Okay. Miami doesn't care if you ever come back. They actually like, you can die here. You know, it's kind of like that same Vegas energy. You know, what happens in Vegas stays like Miami and Vegas are very similar in that sense. So yeah, that's why I never danced in Vegas. Miami, I danced for a little while. It wasn't the best idea because it's super, super, super body bend culture and I have a natural body. And so it just was a very different vibe, but I learned a lot.
Got it.
A lot. So
I think that's a perfect segue to, because you had mentioned the energies of people a lot. So I want to shift to the woo-woo. Okay. Where did you get into astrology? How did you get into astrology? And one of the things that is particularly coming to mind right now, I don't know if is it like, not cartography, but like, it's kind of like where somebody does your birth chart based, and it's supposed to reference like where you would, I guess, thrive the best, or what
you're talking about.
Locations are going to be significant for you.
I think you might have been right in calling it that. Let me look at cartography. Yeah, let me go to the Googles. Yeah, I think you're right though.
Because I feel like I heard Fran mention
like
it on the episode.
Cartography, cartology, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Have you had any experience with that? Like, what was your introduction to astrology?
So I'm still looking at the difference between cartography and cartology. So no, it's definitely
like one is the making of maps, right?
Yes,
cartology is going to be.
And then cartography, the science of drawing maps. Let me see, astrology. Astro Cartography.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So that's based in the Western and Vedic. And from what I understand, mine is close to like Puerto Rico and Cuba and all that area. That's the area where, you know, I would thrive the most.
Oh, cool.
Along that area. But also there's another teaching that shows you the energy of your birthday as it relates to numbers, not numerology, but the day I was born was the 5th of the month. And so when you look at the spelling of a place, that has an energy as well. And so Chicago has the same energy as the 5th of the month. It's a 5. And so I'm in Chicago and I have been thriving ever since I got here. And it feels like home. It always feels like home when I leave and come back. Everything. It definitely feels like home. So that's the one I kind of have looked at. But I know there's probably. I also feel like you can live in multiple places at once. Like you don't have to just be everything I do is in Chicago. Absolutely not. But my introduction was probably as a child. I'm a Virgo that had a Virgo mom and Virgo grandmother. Oh, so that was always.
It was your mom's mom that was a Virgo?
Yeah.
That's got to mean something.
Yeah. And, you know, I learned what I learned from my mom, and she learned from her mom, but then we also had fathers. So it's funny because my biological father was a Pisces, and I have a Pisces moon. And then my stepfather that raised me was a Scorpio, and I have a Scorpio rising. So a lot of people, I kind of present like very Scorpio energy sometimes. But I'm really a Virgo. Beyonce, she's the 4th, I'm the 5th. So it's like we celebrated our birthday together this year.
Happy belated birthday, Dan.
Thank you. So I
love birthdays.
Yes, girl, like celebration. Yeah, that was the introduction in regards to the Western. I've always kind of been hip with that. But it got deep when I learned about Mayan astrology, because I had never heard about that. I was actually training under a witch online. She was a black witch, and I found her to be answering all the questions I ever had about life back in 2010, and she had a YouTube channel, and, back then that was a big deal. So I was tuning in, and then eventually she was like, I'm holding classes. I'm like,
call me now.
Right. She was very, very much Miss Cleo. And I was like, tell me more, because
take my quarters.
Take all these coins. Okay, I'm signing up and getting up at 6 a.m. to do whatever you say. Okay, that's how she had me. And she had this video that was the 5 things you need to know about based on your birth, like the time you were born. The 5 things you need to know. And one was, you need to know your Western astrology. One was, you need to learn your Mayan Galactic Signature. And I was like, what's that? Right?
I never heard of
and
that.
And then she was like, you need to know your tarot birth card pair. You need to know your, she said, what was it? The number, your life path number.
Okay. I heard that one.
And then it was another one, and I don't remember right now exactly what it was. It might have been 4. So I was into all of that. I said, tell me all the things that I need to know about myself. But the one that really over the years became something I got into was the Mayan Galactic Signature.
Now, what is that?
So glad you asked. So basically, if you were to give me the date of your birth, I could go into an app and put that in, and it would tell me what out of 260 possible results your Mayan Galactic Signature is. And so the first, middle, and last name of your signature all have significance. The first name is going to be one of 4 different colors, okay? The last name is going to be one of 20 different things, but each color has 5 different options, okay? So you can have, white world bridger.
Oh, wait, is this something you know how to do?
I'm a master of this.
So, is this okay? Now, is this an extensive thing, or is it easier? Like, can you do your birthday or my birthday so that it makes sense? Because you're already lost.
Yes, yeah, I could. If you told me we could do a demo right now, and I could break you down.
Okay, so what do you need? My birthday?
Yeah, just give me your birthday.
8/7/85.
Okay, Leo. I love
yes,
y'all.
ma'am.
I love y'all, and it's like almost a month before mine. Okay. All right. So what I got from you giving me Wednesday, August 7th, and I'm also a Wednesday daughter.
Yes, Aquia or Nakua. I learned that reading Homecoming, and it means born on a Wednesday. And then I actually met an Aquia. She pronounces it Aquia, I believe, and I always reading the book. I always pronounce it Akua, but she said either or is fine. But
okay, born on a Wednesday. So, you are a yellow overtone warrior, which is kin number KIN number 96, and so what that means is your consciousness is a yellow warrior. All right,
okay,
and a yellow warrior, it sounds a lot like what it is, except when you think about a warrior, a lot of times The warrior is more the fearless one. Okay. And a lot of times when you think about what makes you fearless is intelligence. Intelligence allows for you to understand things in a way that reduces fear, because a lot of ignorance is what, drives fear. The action that you have to do in order to be fearless is question. You have to find the answers to questions. So an affirmation for you as a yellow warrior is, I am the fearless warrior, the grace of divine intelligence. All right. So having said that, you're going to have 4 different aspects besides your conscious self in this system.
Okay.
That matter. And so the first thing that I go to is that guide. All right. So I go here, north, and yours is the yellow seed. All right. The yellow seed is about awareness, about flowering and targeting. So one thing that the way that God and the divine works through you and for you is by basically dropping seeds, planting seeds. This is like your divine purpose, your divine, everything that happens, even these podcasts, you're dropping seeds, you're planting seeds. You're also
now, is this
seeds.
how I receive things, or is this how I interact with the world?
Both, but this is also mainly how you receive, but this is how God moves through you.
Okay. Seeds.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's through planting seeds, receiving you might get a lot of downloads, and get
accurate.
Like you get the nudging to plant the seed where you plant it. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that's big for you. The thing subconsciously that is called the occult. All right. So that just means your subconscious self, the way that it operates and it kind of like drives you, is the red serpent. And what that is about survival instincts. It's about staying low to the ground. It's about your life force. You think about a serpent and how it has to digest, and it digests an entire whole thing, and it takes its time. And in the meantime, it's still slithering and navigating and working through the earth. But it's also about that Kundalini energy. So if things don't feel right, you can't do it. So combined with that awareness and that intelligence, not intellectual, but that intelligence, with that subconscious red serpent energy, like you kind of move and shift the way that you need to. Now, then you have 2, I call them the angel and the devil, but they're both good and bad angels, I say. Not really bad, but challenging and easy and challenging. So the easy one for you is called the analog, and that is blue night. Okay. Blue night is about abundance, dream time, and intuition. So in blue, the color of blue is about transformation. All right. Yellow is about ripening. Anyway, the blue night is really easy for you. So this is something you can dream it up. Your intuition can manifest. Your manifestation is easy for you. It might not always feel like it is, but the results show. You can dream something, and then within a week's time, you see it coming into fruition. Sometimes it'll be a big thing, but you're going to see it before the next year. Like, you can project. Like, that's why it's good for you to plan. Because if you put a plan together, no, that thing's going to happen. Good or bad. Whatever happens along the way, no, that's going to happen. Right? The thing that is going to hold you up, though, the thing that makes it life, the thing that makes life is called the analog. And for you, it's the white world bridger energy. It's the thing you have to accept. Okay. And that is the, oh man, let me get here. Hold on, because I'm going to have to break this down to you. White world bridger, the power is death. The action is to equalize, and the essence is opportunity. And the affirmation is, I surrender to opportunity. So because you have all this other stuff going on, you have all of this, I know what I know, and I want this to happen going on. But then you have these wild cards that come in. Okay. And these wild cards are the opportunities. So what you have to do is you have to regulate how to balance planning and being able to be available to that opportunity when it comes right then and there, and knowing that you're prepared. Like knowing I'm ready, the opportunity is presenting itself. That means I'm ready to walk through this door. But I didn't call for this. I didn't plan for this. This isn't the way that this isn't the room I was leading into myself into. This is a different room. But when you get there, you realize all the spaces are there for exactly what you do and who you are and who you can be and embody. You know what I mean? What you can embody about yourself can completely shift that atmosphere. So it turns into the you show when you get there. And you're like, shit, if I never walked through that door and, I wouldn't have realized how much now I've expanded. And so your expansion, it's in world bridging. There's a occult piece. There's a esoteric piece to that. And what that is recognizing that you see dead people, bottom line.
Interesting.
Like whatever it is that you have connected with that side of yourself, be it your ancestral world, be it the Lord and Savior, be it, I don't know, Hakuna Matata. It could be whatever it is, okay? Understand that means something. It's not just imagination. It's not just, oh, it's dream time. Only in my dreams, my grandmother speaks to me. No, your grandmother probably just waiting for you to light a candle, and put some rice and beans out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some, my grandmother loves Sanka. I need some hot Sanka in the morning if I want to sit here and commune with my grandmother. Like ancestral veneration, like if you're open to that. A lot of people are not, and that's fine. But for me, learning about how to bridge worlds and how to navigate like what I'm manifesting and just get that wisdom that being a solo traveler, living in places by myself with nobody else around, I got to dig deep into what's already inside of me. And a lot of times it's those ancestors. It's that world we can't see. Yeah. So that's why I love to tap into this, this kind of astrology, because it allows for you to talk about those things. So when you wrap you up, what I would say is then there's the tone. The middle name is overtone. Okay. And there are only 13 tones. Okay. And yours is number 5. And so the power there is to empower. The action is to command. And the essence is radiance. And the keywords are core purpose, central intent, foundation, place of centeredness, simplicity, acceptance of your humanness. So that's your energy. And I think that makes sense in regards to what you're doing with your podcast, and like even open it up for your anniversary and for your, celebratory, experience at this time. Is you're tapping into humanity. You're tapping into all of us and what we can bring to you, how we can build, how your whole community can build from its own membership. That's all overtone number 5 energy, and so bringing that all together, that's pretty much like what I can give you in regards to your Mayan Galactic Signature.
And all of that is just from your birthday. What if people, I ain't the only 8785. So and is that for the same for all of us?
All of you.
That's interesting because I feel
but there are more of you that were not born on that day. There are 260 different ones, and they go for 260 days. Like, for example, right now, today.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, today we are on Blue Electric Night, which is kin number 3. So we just started back up. This is why I'm offering readings, because right now you just turned whatever.
Spoiler, she's offering readings. We'll get more info on that in a second.
So we're just starting back up a year, but it's not a year, it's 9 months. So in this system, 260 days is 9 months. And so you have, during this time, you have a focal point for this year for yourself. Also, you and Bay, I put y'all's 2's dates together. You have your own specific signature of what you're here to do, what your thing is, what comes easy, what comes not so easy, but what your purpose is to develop and master together. You have the thing that like divinely guides you, the thing that subconsciously supports you. You have all those things. So I can create, a signature for whatever combination you have. And right now, the reason why I'm offering, my services is because we're starting a new year. We're also going into a new year right now, 2024. And so a lot of people who haven't had their birthday yet, unless you have your birthday from like 2 days ago to the end of the year, next year, we can talk about what that year is going to bring. We could talk about this last year if you want, ending it, what you need to focus on moving forward, all those things. So I just love to work with people and to talk to, speak to this space. There's a little more I could offer, but it's no need. You kind of get, the gist.
Now, have you ever like combined different types of astrology? Because I know you mentioned that you had what does it look like to combine all those things? And I have a follow-up question to that. I'm gonna let you answer that first.
So I think it's perfect to combine them because, like, for example, for me, I'm a Virgo sun, but I'm very much a Scorpio rising, dealing with the Scorpio season right now. So all of my Scorpio is coming out. And then I'm a Pisces moon. And so that's always going to be moving and shaking. And the Pisces moon is why I'm so into the woo-woo. Okay. But the Scorpio rising is why I'm all sexuality, pleasure positive, sex positive, educator, The Virgo is the one that keeps me chill and knows how to make me be centered and be at peace. And also while maintaining logic. The one that keeps me sane is the Virgo. Okay. And so for you, like knowing your rising and knowing your moon and knowing your different houses for different things, you can learn so much about yourself. All of them can work really well together. This doesn't take anything from, your Leo, because I can see how you plant seeds and you're a yellow warrior. Are you kidding me? Leos are the ferocious. Like, y'all are so forward and such leaders. Like, you really are like, and it's me. What's up? What it do, boo? What are we doing now? And I'm always in awe of y'all because I like to be in the background. But when the time comes, I'll put it on you. But, with that music, with that singing, don't play with me, but for the most part, I like to kind of be in the background and figure out, okay, let me figure everybody out.
Right. Read the room first.
Yeah.
So the follow-up question was, with astrology, how has it, if it has, influenced any of your travel decisions? Like, have you ever used astrology to make a decision about where to go, or in terms of while you have been someplace, have you felt that astrological decisions, or have you felt more called to be more in tune with how astrology would influence you to make different decisions, or has a particular area not a particular, but like has an area called to you more so because of something that you've read in your astrology? Like, how has astrology impacted your travels, whether while you're already there or in making a decision to go there per se?
Okay. That's a great question. I think it's more so the cycles of the moon, also the cycles of the planets that I would say has influenced my movements. I don't really travel during Mercury retrograde. I don't really purchase big things. I don't make a lot of big decisions during those times. I also look at the retrogrades to see what's going on, how I'm feeling, how it's affecting me and my relationships. Sometimes I will not proceed with something I thought I would do. Excuse me. But most of the time, honestly, it's really more about my intuition. It's really, I follow my intuition so much. Like I literally am very, because I will say this, my antipode is the red serpent. So the red serpent energy is very much about that instinct and being in tune with survival. And I've had to learn that and master that. And so I really trust my gut. And so if I feel like now is the right time, it'll be like bing, 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 bing. Nothing in my gut is like constricted. Yeah. I don't have no kind of like holds on me. I feel free as a bird. I'm ready to fly. And I'm also a blue lunar eagle. So if I don't feel like I can be fly as fuck, excuse me, but if I don't feel like I can be fly as fuck going where I'm going, I don't go.
Okay.
I can only fly, like, or I won't go. And so that's more so, did you buy your tickets during Mercury retrograde? Did you know what I mean? Did you check on the lunar and solar eclipses during that time? Is it a full moon? Is it a new moon? You know, those kind of things. And those aren't always astrological, but they're in the cosmology.
Gotcha.
So I definitely have always taken those things into consideration.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This has been so much fucking fun. Rachel, where can the people find you? Where can they get, and what kind of, you do the Mayan astrology readings?
It's an intuitive
Or is it just
reading.
a chart kind of, like, what is it? What exactly is it that you offer, and where can the people find said offering?
Okay, so if you go to Instagram, I'm there. It's Rachel the Fortune. And let me see if I had 2 E's or one in Rachel the Fortune. It's very much 1 E.
Okay.
Rachel RACHEL Fortune FORTUNE. That's really my middle name. So you can find me there. DM me, follow me. I haven't done very much Mayan astrology lately because I've been getting very centered in Chicago living. I've been here less than 2 years. So post-pandemic, I needed to kind of shut shit down and kind of get planted. So it's starting back up now. And so if you hit me up there, we can talk about what you need. It's not just Mayan astrology. I do a lot for people who are either transitioning with their love lives, like divorcees, people who want to maybe open up their marriages, people who want to go into a different direction than they've ever gone. They come to me for some wisdom, some guidance. I am a trained coach as well. So I definitely ask those powerful questions. I definitely have a safe space for you to come in and talk and kind of figure out where it is you're trying to go with your relationships. I do a lot of relationships counseling to tell you what that synergy looks like from a Mayan perspective, but also the Western astrology comes into play. And then I love Black people. So, you know, a lot of my folks are Spelman and Morehouse alums. A lot of them are HBCU, just grown Black folks that are out here just trying to get it, how they live. I have a lot of high, like the clientele that I have had. I don't share who they are ever.
Right.
And I can just kind of see and project where you're going and what a good idea is based on whatever the question is. I use a little tarot, not that much, but when I do pull out the cards are going to speak. You know, that's just because I'm tapped in. You know, I'm always in tune. I definitely have a gift to kind of shut my world out and just kind of focus in on who you are and what your energy is. Got a little medium stuff kind of going, you know, but it's not guided by your grandmama here and she said,
right,
why you ain't drink that Kool-Aid, you know, like it's not really like that. But if you need a little guidance, I have a lot of wisdom in a lot of places because my life has been very much different and strange and unusual. Like I'm thinking on how this is going to be like the playback of this. We done been like, it's almost like my confessions. I need to like call Usher, be like, can I get some points on your, like, I swear I done confessed everything on this.
Well, I hope you had a good time with it.
Of course. It's been great. I actually appreciate it. I've never been on a podcast before. So this is cool.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast word, Rachel. Rachel, thank you so much for joining me this week. Good folks, I will absolutely have Rachel's IG in the description box. So if you are compelled and called to reach out, please do. I will say, to finish out this conversation, that that was, you had me until the third one, and then you got me with the fourth one, and it made more sense.
Okay.
Because I forgot what the third one was. It was, what's that third thing?
The analog, the thing that comes easy.
Yeah,
So.
I don't see myself as a manifester at all. But then where you got me back was when you said, like, planning it. It's because I don't plan shit. Like, I don't do very well with planning. And I've realized as I have matured that so many things would be so much better if I just planned them better. So yeah, there's that. So, figured I'd drop that right there for you guys if you were on the fence or not. So just do with that as you may. But that has been my experience with the short little reading. But
That's
yeah,
dope.
so I will definitely be running that back. And I always see shit out the side of my eyes. I do still have an altar in my room. Okay. I have not. I
take
just
it out your room.
The plant that was over there.
Take it out your room.
Okay.
No.
Mental
they
note.
ain't trying to see you get busy. They are not trying to see that. Take it out your room. That's too close.
I don't got no place else to put it though.
Okay, so there are traveling altars. And this is something I probably should create. Yeah, but a traveling altar, it's everything in a box, basically.
Okay.
And you whip that out and then just utilize it. It's not even that it's in your room. It's that it's always in your room. So if you can shut it down and remove them from your life and bring them back when you want to, that'll be a lot better for you than just having it just there and that's it. No, use that from some other stuff and bring them out when you want to. Yeah.
Mental noting. So we're going to end that there and I'm going to clean my room, y'all. I appreciate y'all for fucking with us this week. I'll see y'all next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.